I found in my career, if you don't ask, you don't know. I found a lot of my associates were being told no, they couldn't do certain things that was enhancing their career, but they weren't asking the right questions and they weren't asking the right people. I went to the head. I had my immediate that I partnered with so that I can go to the person that made the decisions. This contact center where I was, it wasn't the same as being in an actual corporate office. It was bodies and seats, but that wasn't what I was there for. So you had to ask the right questions.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome to another edition of the Getting the Win Show. I am your host, Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. And my mission with this show is to help women who've navigated a trauma or transition find healing through writing and publishing their first book. But today I'm talking with Sabrina Scott, who is an employee turned full-time entrepreneur. She is a mom and now a grandmother of 7 beautiful babies. And she talks about them very briefly in today's interview. So that's a fun little nugget during the conversation. So definitely stay tuned for that. But she is the author of a brand new book called Lead with Audacity: 10 bold strategies to grow stronger, execute smarter, and lead unapologetically. I've got my copy right here. I was super proud to get mine as soon as it released. But not only is Sabrina an author, this is her first book. She's got another one on the way, so that's always exciting. But she also has a book signing coming up in Conyers, Georgia. She lives in Atlanta, so if you're in the ATL area or if you live close to Conyers, her book signing is happening on February 21st from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. You should see the details on the screen and in the show notes. You'll find the details in the show notes if you're interested in attending. And of course, I'll make sure that all of her information is available in the show notes for you in terms of her website where you can get the book and any bonuses that you can get once you get the book. But yeah, definitely stay tuned in this conversation because we're speaking about the power of leadership, how Sabrina entered into leadership and the lessons she's learned and are now passing on to readers through her book. Enjoy. As promised, ladies and gentlemen, I have the one and only Sabrina Scott in the building, looking lovely. Welcome, Sabrina. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So first, congrats on your book. I made sure to get my copy as soon as,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course, lead with audacity. This is such an important topic, like in general, because not only is it important on the job, which that's primarily where you're talking about it, like people who are in that sort of executive, like that C-suite, or people that are on the ladder, like people that are on the rise. But first, I would love to start with you specifically, like let our audience know about your leadership journey. Like, how did yours begin? And let us know some of those breakthroughs.
My leadership journey it started in corporate. I started as a contractor on a position in a job. And so it was a need. I needed a job at that time. At that time, I was in my 40s, my late 40s. And I walked into this building. It was a call center. And I'm like, oh, this is where I'm going to be working now. And that beginning took me to where I am today, just excelling there. I went from being a individual contributor in a matter of months, becoming a leader. I became a supervisor, and the very month later, I became a manager. And my entire career from there was just that. But in that process, there was a lot to be learned, a lot to be learned. I'm starting out just not thinking that I belong in that room per se. Coming from where I was, when you look at it, a contact center. So I went from a contact center to a field manager to a supervisor in logistics. So all in the same company, but still feeling like sometimes you don't belong in the rooms that I was in, not realizing that not only did I belong in the room, I was the room, because I brought the energy, whatever I brought to the room, that's what it was going to be for me. So as I began to grow, I began to learn, learning that it's not always who you know. Sometimes it's who knows you. And that was my experience in corporate, was more so who knew me. And how they got to know me was a lot of the things that I wrote in the book. and just beginning to lead without asking for the leadership. Just it was many things in the process of me doing that, and taking notes, having a mentor, having a coach, having someone to walk with me on that journey. That was one of the biggest takeaways for me in the corporate world. But being able to take that and utilize that now, wanting to do something for myself outside of that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, there was a lot in there. So I definitely want to unpack some of it. So let's dig in a little bit into what led you to getting a mentor and a coach. And were they the same person, or were those two separate instances for you?
They were two separate. My mentor acted as both. My mentor, because she dealt with personal as well as my professional. I had a coach or coaches for my professional. Being my director. My director was the one that actually introduced me to my mentor. And I found in my career, if you don't ask, you don't know. I found a lot of my associates were being told no, they couldn't do certain things that was enhancing their career, but they weren't asking the right questions and they weren't asking the right people. I went to the head. So, I had my immediate that I partnered with so that I can go to the person that made the decisions. So if there was something that I wanted to do, if there was a class that I wanted to take, because being in this contact center where I was, it wasn't the same as being in an actual corporate office. It was bodies and seats, but that wasn't what I was there for. So you had to ask the right questions. So that's what I pretty much did. I asked the right questions, and in doing that, that's how I obtained a coach. That's how I obtained a mentor. And they did help me. And I had multiple. I didn't have one, or I didn't have two. I had multiple people that I could go to help me to enhance my career.
Was any of that, in terms of your approaching, like asking the head, like, did you encounter any pushback at any point with your asking for help or asking for mentorship?
Sometimes because again, the atmosphere did not warrant what I was looking for. It was, we need bodies in the seats. We need someone answering phones. We need someone training, teaching, and leading these people, but in the way that we would want it to do. I wanted to excel in my career. One of the things that when I first started, even as a contractor, when I came in as a contractor, one of the things that I did was I went to the head director at the time and asked for a meeting. And the meeting was really just a get to know you meeting. And we sat down together, and that's what it was. But one of the things that he told me in that meeting was, don't worry about being seen. The only thing that you do is just make sure that you're doing your job to the best of your ability, and you'll be seen. And I didn't understand that initially until I began doing my job. The first week on the job, which I said I came in as a contractor, the very first week I came in on a Monday. That Wednesday, I was told by my supervisor at that time that they were letting the temps or the contractors go. And I said, well, you do know that you all just hired me on Monday. She said, I know. She said, and I've already spoken to my manager and asked if we could keep you. Now, this again is literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In that short period of time, she said, I've watched your work ethic and you're someone that we need. So I got kept on, although that following week, they let majority of the contractors go. Me coming in that first week, I got to stay. So going to him and asking him the right questions, it kind of started me off on a good start, a kickstart to my career of over 10 years with him.
So kind of fill us in on what the right questions would be, because of course we want to give like some practical examples for our audience. Like, what were some of those that you wanted?
Some of the things were just what I did was when I came into the company, I researched the company. I went on their site to see what they offered. There were classes that were offered. There was tuition that was reimbursed. They had their own university that you could be a part of. Then you also had classes that you could take for a minimum amount. I would do a couple of things. I would ask my leader, hey, there's this class that I want to take. And of course, it had to match up with what your duties were or what your job description was. And I literally took my time, went through, found the courses that I wanted to take that went around the job description that I had, and I asked if I could take them. Yes, you asked if there was some pushback. There was, because they weren't having anyone come to them wanting to advance. Most everyone wanted to just do their job and do their job well. I wanted to do that, but I also didn't want to stay in the position that I was in. Again, I said I started that position because I needed a job. I didn't expect that I was going to like what I was doing and want a career. So in that process, that's what I did. I asked the questions of, am I able to do this? Then it got to where, well, we don't offer that over here. Okay, well, can I go where they offer it if that's okay? But the biggest thing for me was wording it to a point that made it make sense for them. Because at the end of the day, they hired me to do a job for them. So it had to make sense for both parties. And that's where the coaching came in as well, is, okay, let's see what you have on here. Why do you want to take this class? How is it going to benefit you, but how is it going to benefit the company? And being able to explain that was how I was able to do a lot of the things that I was able to do, because the things that I asked to do, they most definitely benefited me, but they were in line with the company and their vision and their values.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. So I want to dig into these here pages. I want to go over a couple of the things you share in here, which I thought was dope. The awake framework, which, my goodness, I need that, because I'm somebody that loves my sleep, and waking up is like, it's hard to get out of bed because it's so comfortable. Like, it's not
Absolutely.
anything dark, y'all, like you who are watching and listening. It's nothing dark or anything, but I happen to have a comfy bed. Like, I like being wrapped up. You know what I'm saying? But talk about your journey to discovering that, though, like your journey to realizing, like, you know what, I need a system for making my mornings more efficient.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about that.
So that came from waking up early in the morning for no apparent reason. I thought I would get up on an average somewhere around 4 and 5 o'clock each morning, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. So I began to just seek inwardly and just say, okay, so there has to be a reason that this is happening, because it's happening too consistently. So I started doing a little bit of research on waking up early in the morning, what that meant. And I came across 2 books actually that were called The 5 a.m. Club. So I read into that and I was like, ta-da, I get it now. I'm supposed to be doing something with this each time I wake up. So I began to use that time to meditate, to be in my word, to just kind of seek, to visualize these things that I didn't know about. They began to work, and which is essentially where writing the book came from, because I began to now see what it is I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be doing it. So I would get up every morning and take some time for me. And it makes such a difference. That first hour, sometimes 2, I get more done in those 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours, than I do in a 4 to 6 hour workday, because I'm focused. And that's what it does. It allows you to be at a calm and be able to focus.
Yeah, that's important. That's very important. And I'm kind of in that boat right now. For me, I recently started taking supplements to kind of help, get the nutrients in that we don't always get through our diet. And I've noticed, like, my sleep schedule has been shifting, because I'm now waking up at like 4:45, which that is not normal for me. I'm normally like minutes to 6, because of course mastermind calls, right? You want to make sure that we're awake for those. But yeah, usually that, because God is really good about, if you have an obligation, he'll wake you up right before. Like, he's really good about that. But the 4:45 thing, I was like, okay, God, what is happening? Just like you, like, okay, what am I supposed to do with the extra time? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you do have a framework in there. And you guys, if you want to learn, get that book. So it's on Amazon, and she also has a website called leadwithaudacitynow.com. Okay. So you'll be able to get some of those details if you go to that website. But yeah, talk a little bit more to us about the inspiration behind the book. Cause you did say, like, during one of those early morning wake ups, you're like, you know what? Like, let me start working on this thing. But what was that push for you to be like, I want to write this to be helpful to other people? Like, what was that impetus for you?
That is a simple question for me. I wanted to continue to do what I was doing for someone else for myself. All I did in my work time was coach, teach, and train. And it was just a wonderful thing to see someone come from an individual contributor or an associate to a leader, and you had something to do with it. That, being able to see that, watch that. And to this day, I still get people, sometimes I'll get a call saying, hey, wanting to know, you still coaching? You still, you still helping people out? Because I need a little help in my career. Some of my old associates are now some of my friends. And that all stemmed from doing just what I wrote in the book for them and doing it for myself. Everything that's in it is something that I use for myself in my career, and my stepping stone from going from one place to another place. So I wanted to continue to do that for others, because again, there's many women like myself that started their careers late in life, and we're burnt out. We're imposter syndrome, or even just playing ourselves small, and we don't need to. We don't have to. And this is just a tool to use to be able to navigate through that, whether it be in the corporate setting or if it's like me, you wanted to do something on your own outside of that.
That's great. I definitely need you to dig into that, please. And thank you. Like, it's like, that's not really talked about. Like the women that are in the sort of midlife, 40s, moving into 50s, even and the burnout that they're dealing with, because by this point in life, they're likely moms already. They're likely wives already. And they have been perpetually pouring for years and years and years and years, despite knowing what they know is going to benefit them, but they're either not sure, to your point, imposter syndrome, or they don't necessarily believe it's possible anymore. They might believe that their time is up or something. So please talk to our audience about that. Like, did you experience that personally? And if you did, how did you get out of it?
Boy, did I. I think I've experienced a little bit of all of it. A lot of it was fear of just stepping out, because again, you think that I should have done this already. I should have been here already. It's too late. And that was my thing, was thinking it's too late. It's too late for me. I'm almost 50 at that time. I'm almost 50. But then I began to see the impact that I was making. And it was like, okay, well, maybe it's not too late, but still wanting to get that strength of, it was a belief, believing in myself and strengthening that belief, having the courage to do what others wouldn't do. Even if that was to have a difficult conversation, managing myself, managing myself, my attitude, my everything. Like, I think I talk about the pie. That is your performance, your image, and your exposure.
Yep.
But guess what? All of that is relied on you. Your growth is going to rely on you and what you're willing to do. And I was just willing to do something different. So it started just there. It started with what I wore. Instead of being in the contact center and wearing jeans and a polo shirt, I went from wearing jeans and a polo shirt to wearing heels and a dress and a skirt. You know, and I didn't know that it was a big deal until it became a big deal, until it was talked about in a meeting. We're in a meeting of amongst, it was probably about maybe 30 of us in a meeting. And my manager at the time pointed out, this is what I'm talking about. And yeah, I got put on the spot, but I understood then that I was walking in the right direction. Exposure, putting myself out there, putting myself in front of leaders, not being afraid to talk to leaders, have a conversation with them, asking questions, right question, wrong question, just being able to step out of your comfort zone and ask the questions, find out what the vision is, make sure that you're aligned with the vision of the company, but that it's in value with it aligns with your values. There's many different things. And I talk about different things, negotiating, networking is one of my favorites. And in that process, you know, with us having COVID and things like that, that even changed because it went from that in person to now you're doing it through Zoom, Meetup, things like that, the way that we're doing this. But asking for that 15 minutes, you know, hey, call it tea time, call it coffee time, taking that time to just, can I pick your brain for a minute? Can we talk about how you got where you got? How did you get there? One of my greatest experiences was with my mentor. My mentor was in a different state. I was in my normal monthly meeting with my manager. And we began to talk about my mentor. And she's like, you know, she went into talking about what she does. And she says, why don't you call her and see if maybe you guys can get together? Now, typically our meetings were over the phone for about 15 minutes. This particular time, she usually answered me in about a week if I sent her an email or left her a message. This particular time, I went back to my desk. I, left her a message. It was an email, actually. I left her an email, and in 15 minutes, she responded. And she's like, hey, can you come this week? And I was like, this week? I have protocol. I have people I have to go and talk to first. I went back to my manager and let her know, hey, she's available this week. She said, okay, let me get with the director. Within 30 minutes, book it. Again, this wasn't things that they were allowing us to do. And my director came to me and said, this is part of your development. And it's our responsibility to develop you. So this is part of your development. So needless to say, within about 3 days, I was gone. And I was gone for about 4 days. And again, a lot of the techniques in which I speak on, I got from my mentor in training me, tracking your wins. That's a big deal. Your manager doesn't really know what you do until you tell them what you've done. So I would always do a self-review, and I taught my associates, just because you're an individual contributor and you're not in a leader status, you're still a leader. So you still have to tell me what it is you did, because I know what you're supposed to do. I know what you're being paid to do. But until you tell me really what you've done, I don't know. So I learned that from her, and I tracked my wins. I documented. When someone sent me something saying, great job, slide, inbox, I documented it. So when it came time for monetary annual review, I was ready. And even when it wasn't monetary, it allowed them to see, oh, okay, she's going the extra mile. And that's what I taught my associates. Go the extra mile. And even if this is where you want to be the absolute best at what you want to do and where you are. So not everyone wants to become a leader or in a leader status. So, but you want them to be the best that they are where they are. I hope that answered it.
It did. And all facts. Talk a little bit about your process with this book, because obviously any authorship, like any kind of writing thing, is indeed a process. So, and yours is a little unique. So I would love to present what you did to our authors, to our audience, because I don't normally talk about it, but Let our audience know about how you were able to produce this one.
So for me, I went through a process. I actually went through a service to help me write my book. Um, and it was a 10-10-10 program is what it was called. So you should be able to write 10 chapters in 10 weeks. But you are allowed more time than that. And for me, I had a writer, and all the other steps were already in place for me. The editing, the formatting, the book cover, all those things were already in place for me. I just had to get to each particular spot after I finished one thing, get to the other. So it took me approximately a little over a year to actually complete the book. Some of that was not the process. Some of it was my process because again, still had to get out my head. Still had to get the stories on the page. That was a big thing for me. But I think what compelled me to get further was my why. I have 7 grandchildren, and my middle grandchild actually, yes, 7. They ranging from 22 down to 7. And the middle grandchild, who's now 13, she was 12 at the time, she was my motivator. She was my push. She would come into my office when I would have them, because I had them through the summer. She would come into my office and just sit on the side of me. Nana, how many chapters did you write? Are you writing chapters today? Are you, and like literally asking me, as I said before, the right questions. And they were the right questions because they were the questions that motivated me and pushed me, because my why is indeed my 7 grandchildren. So she just would come in and she'll even ask, did you post today? Let me see what your post was today. You post on LinkedIn? Did you post anywhere else? No, you might want to start posting somewhere else. And I'm sitting here like, where is all of this energy coming from? And where's all of this push coming from? But I forgot, I also sold into her that summer. That particular summer, the mastermind that I was in did a mastermind for the youth for the summer. And she, on her own, said she wanted to be a part of it. So she did. So with what she was learning there, and what she was learning with me, it motivated me to the point that one weekend I wrote 3 chapters in a weekend, where before that I had been stalling. And that's pretty much what it ends up being. I didn't have that energy and push that I needed until I really recognized who my why was. Initially, I thought it was me, but it was obvious that that was not it. I said my mother. That was not it. Although taking good care of her, it ended up being the 7 of them, and that initial push of, okay, I'm watching you. You can't just tell a child you're doing XYZ, because they're going to be on you and make sure that you're doing such. And that was it for me. It was just like, I've got to do this because I have a legacy. And I talk about building a legacy because I don't want them to go through those. They're going to go through the things they're going to go through. But if I can circumvent any of that, I want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to make it accessible for them. I want to be able to sow into their dreams, to their hopes, their talents. I'm watching them flip all over the place, playing piano, not even having lessons. So now we need to hone in on those talents, those skills, so that they can be the best person that they can be for the best people that they can be in this lifetime.
For sure. That's a powerful why. Like when you have a kid, like all of your
In
business,
your face.
all
In
of
your
your
face.
business. Yeah, that is a huge,
But I
huge flip.
loved everything about that. I did. I loved everything about that. It also showed me that not only are they watching, but I was able to sow something into her that compelled her to even have that interest. To
Mm-hmm.
have that interest. So, and she still does that. When are you starting the next book? Wow. Whoa. You told me you were doing 2 books. When are you finishing the next book? So
See?
we won't need that extreme push this time. We won't need that. I'll get it done. But the process itself it has been very unique. It allows you to learn what you don't know.
Yeah.
But one of the things I found now, this was the process that I took this time. It's not necessarily the process that I will take going forward. And part of that is because starting this process out, whether it was writing the book or just becoming an entrepreneur, I thought I was doing it alone. And what I found was in the communities that I've been in, there's help. I just had to move myself out the way and ask for the help. So I've been able to do that. And in doing that, I have found that there are just people that are willing, lovingly, and wanting to help. You just have to open up your mouth and say that you need it. And I've been able to do that of late, and it has been wonderful. Some of the things that I have done in this process, I've met so many people now that I would use going forward that can do the same thing, but the relationship is there. The partnership is there. So it's a much different feel than paying someone to go through that process in that way. When even if you're paying them, you're paying someone that you know, someone that is vested in you in some form or fashion. So it makes all the difference in the world. I don't trade anything that I've done in this process. I wouldn't trade it because it gave me knowledge that I did not have prior to, but it also has shown me now what it is I need and how I can go about getting it.
Yeah. Important lesson in there. That feeling that you're doing something alone. And this is something I share with our audience all the time. Sabrina, I always recommend people do a resource inventory. Like, literally write out what you have in front of you. Hardware, software, the apps, your calendar, your laptop, your phone, your tablet, if you have one of those. If you have kids, list them. Their resources. Sabrina just showed you. She has 7 resources. They're pushing her to get her books done. Relatives, parents, aunts, uncles, anybody that could potentially be a push, or somebody that could be a connector. They might know somebody that you're trying to get a hold of that, or does a thing that you need. You know what I mean? Writing those things down and getting it in front of your eyeballs makes a huge difference, because then you're like, oh, I actually have more than I thought. And it can actually be a great push. You know what I mean? So
that's definitely what I experienced.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's refreshing when you're around people that want to see you succeed. Like, there's no ulterior motive or anything. Like, we climbing too, you know what I mean? Like, we're all moving in the same direction. So
and you don't know that until you ask. And that was a struggle for me for a long time, was the actual ask. But once I got over that hurdle, I don't have a problem asking now. Like, the delay is gone now. It's like, okay, because you can't say anything but yes or no. And you get enough no's, you're going to get a yes, because that no just may mean not right now. I have a lot on my plate right now, but when I don't, then let's circle back around, because I'm even asking that. Well, can we come back to it later? It doesn't have to be now. So just putting more and more names in that arsenal that I didn't have before.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I'm glad you pointed that out in terms of the maybe like, when can we come back to it? Because that speaks to the point of tweaking the question. Because even if the answer is no, it can be not right now, or no, because I don't know, or no, because I don't have it. Then the follow up can be, well, do you know somebody that has it? Or do you know somebody that can do it? And they might be like, you know what? Talk to this person. You know what I mean? But if you leave it at no, then you really don't know. And you still
I've
kind of miss
that
out.
even with you, because you have definitely directed me into some good spots. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Not me, but them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's super important, like, on both sides. Not only being the person to ask the follow-up question, but even for you as the person that needs resources, be a connector. So that's a great point that you're sharing, Sabrina. Like, be a connector. Like, okay, you're asking me about this. I can't do that, but you can look over here You know what I mean? Because what you do for people, people will do for you.
Yes.
What's her name? Dr. Sonia Stribling says it like this. She trains speakers who want to create a speaking career, particularly women. But she says it like this: the way you show up for others is how they'll show up for you. And I was like, oh, like that stuck with me. That one
Yes,
definitely.
yes. I'm definitely a believer that any relationship, whatever that relationship is, it should be an exchange.
Yeah,
It should be a definite exchange.
absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about your journey to self-awareness and self-discovery, because that's something that's important in leadership. If you don't know where you are, it's going to be hard to lead people anywhere or you'll just unintentionally lead them into a ditch. So talk about what your journey was to your, self-awareness and self-discovery and how you carried that forward into becoming a better leader.
Well, first off, my journey is not a was. It still is.
I love it.
I am definitely, I think, and even in corporate, my leaders used to tell me, yeah, you're very self-aware, because when it would come to my reviews, a lot of times they would be like, okay, only thing I need to add is the metrics. You pretty much have said it, because I would be able to give you my opportunities, which in the world they call them your weaknesses, but I call them opportunities. I would be able to give you my opportunities along with my strengths. So just being aware of just where I am in the moment, because some days I may be on fire. And I think even just recently I said, Melissa, last week wasn't the best week. I didn't get everything done on the plate. And I'm not looking back to see what it is I can catch up on, because there is no catch up. There is, let's start now. Let's start where we are. So that's where I just pretty much sometimes I have to sit with myself and have that conversation with myself of, Sabrina, okay, what can you do differently? You didn't do X, Y, Z, but why didn't you do it? What was the distraction? Because essentially that's what it is. You're allowing, or I'm allowing something to distract me, whether it's caring for my mom, or having to run an errand when I know I should be doing a post of some sort, and just making a decision. So everything just relies on what decision that I'm going to make, and what decision I'm going to make for myself. What decision am I going to make to win? So I have to think about, okay, was this a good day? Maybe not, but how can I make tomorrow a better day? I just have to go through that, just talking to myself, because no one else is going to do it for you. 9 times out of 10, most of the time, the people that you're going to talk to are going to continue with the distraction. So sometimes for me, the best thing for me is to sit in it myself and make the determination, and to just make the decision to just do something different. And I have to make that decision every day, because I am a recovering procrastinator. So, like, if other people have their habits, I have to talk to myself. I have to push myself through it. And that's what it is. It's sometimes a push to go on the other side of things, because, again, it takes me back to, why am I doing it? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
doing it in the first place? So if I keep that at the forefront, I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to keep pushing through each and every day. And that's what I do. I just have to keep pushing through. I have people in my life that encourage me, that help me with that, that are not afraid to tell me the real. So you definitely got to keep those people nearby, that's going to tell you what's for real and what's not, that you can't just go, oh, I just didn't feel like doing it today. Okay, why? Get it done, you know. And sometimes I have to look in the mirror and be that person. If I don't have that person around, sometimes I've got to be that person, because we can't sleep on it. I am talking about building a legacy for my children's and my grandchildren. I can't do that being lazy. I can't do that procrastinating. I can't do that like, I'll get to it later. I've got to push through. So that's it for me. It's just pushing through, because I don't always feel like it. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm learning even now, is pushing through and doing it when I don't feel like doing it. That was a hard one for me, because if I didn't feel like doing it, I wasn't doing it. And I would just come back to it the next day. I can't do that, because I have something at stake. It's not me anymore. When it was just me, you could probably do things willy-nilly. It's not just me anymore. I'm looking to build something that I've never built before. And I'm building it for some little people that don't even know it's coming.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So now I mentioned the self-awareness thing because obviously that ties into leadership. But I know having the flight assessment was a huge tool in your toolbox and learning that. So kind of talk to our audience about what you learned when you took it and how that kind of informed your decisions going forward.
I learned I wasn't as great as I thought I was. I I love the flight assessment because it doesn't just tell me who I am. It tells me why I am the way I am and why I do the things the way I do it. So, and I realize there's a lot of me's out there. I'm not the only one, but learning and being able to control that and learning what is the strongest parts of me and what are the adaptive parts of me makes a difference. Because for me, if you know the flight assessment, I'm a flight attendant. And when I think about the flight attendant, I think flighty. I do, because we can be all over the place. But at the same time, I have a high pilot in me. And when it comes to making certain decisions, I'm ready to get it done and make those decisions. But learning what I need in between that has been the greatest gift for me in the flight assessment altogether. And funny enough, I use AI to help me with that structure until I get those people in place. I look for that structure for those two that I need in between. I know how to be a pilot. I know how to be a flight attendant. ATC, grounds crew, air traffic control, maybe not so much, and I know I need those things. So I tell Richard, who's my AI, I tell him what I need and I tell him how to get it to me the best possible way. And so far it's working until I find that actual person that I can have in those places for me. But learning who I am, why I do what I do the way I do it has been a very incredible change for me to understand how to navigate through this game of life, not just business, not just entrepreneurship, not just leadership, but this game of life.
Facts, facts. So I wanted to circle back to something you talked about earlier, which is gauging your own results, like logging your own results, your wins, and kind of creating your own assessment, like with your own numbers and everything. And I know you definitely have something like that in the book that people can use. Do you do something like that now? Because now you're no longer in corporate. You're a full-time entrepreneur. Do you still do something like that now?
Yeah, I have to look back, like, even if it's like every 6 months or so, I have to look back to see what works, what didn't work, and what do I need to change? What do I need to implement? What do I need to take away? So I may not do it exactly the way it is in the book, but I do look at my wins. I do look at my opportunities and I gauge them to see how I can make the adjustment. So that is something that's ongoing. I'm going to always have, because you're going to always have to adjust. Everything's not going to work exactly the way that you want it to. So I'm always adjusting. So I don't do it per se exactly the way it is in the book, but I do track my wins. I track my wins, I track my opportunities, and I make the adjustment.
Got you, got you. And quick note on the image part, y'all, like there is something powerful to up leveling your appearance. It is physiological and psychological. Somehow, some way it works. Okay, y'all, like when you literally change the clothing you're wearing, the posture at which you sit, the way that you physically stand up, for whatever reason, the body sends the message to the brain. Like it literally does have that sort of feedback loop. There is science to this. And you've likely heard, some data about like power poses and things like that. For whatever reason, they work. Like when you move your body in a way that connotes certainty, your brain believes you, like your mind believes you, like you got this. Okay. You got this then. Okay. And then that carries over to the people around you. Sabrina, I met up with a friend of mine. This was a month ago now, or like a month and a half ago. And I went looking similar to this. I wasn't wearing this exact coat, but something similar that looks luxurious. You know what I mean? And she had just come from the gym. So she was in her fitness attire. She was like, I told you what I was wearing. Like, why you came all looking all dressy? And I was like, I just wanted to look expensive. Like, you know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah. Like there's something powerful in the way you carry yourself. And it does elevate your demeanor. It does elevate you emotionally as well. Like it's not just the garments you're wearing. Yes, other people will look at you differently. We're shallow. That's the truth of humanity. But it does elevate you emotionally as well. You feel better. It elevates your well-being. So I just wanted to share that funny story because it does work.
It absolutely does, because what I had intended on wearing is not what I'm wearing. And I was like, no, I don't think that's the look I'm going for. No. And that's not the feel that I was looking for as well. So yeah, it does work.
It absolutely works. So for what's in the book, what was your favorite thing to point out or to share with the world? Like what was that one point that you wanted more than anything else for everybody to learn?
That is a very good question, because there's so many things. I mean, really, even for me, and I've read my book and for me, I'm like, oh, but that was good too. I think for me, what is the most important to me is that it's not just a read, or it's not just a feel good read. It is an act on right now read, because I shared within the book in each chapter, there's application. So I don't want someone to read and say, oh, this was a great book. I want you to read it and say it was a great book, but I want you to read it and say, but there's something I can do right now. At every stage of your career, and every stage of your entrepreneurship, and every stage of your life, there's something that's in it that you can say, I can implement this right now. And I think for me, that is the most important part. It comes with affirmations. It comes with scripture. It comes with application. That's what's important to me. I think out of the book, that's it. It's the fact that you don't walk away just feeling good. You walk away with something to do right now. And that's what I want people to know, is you can make a change immediately. It's not something you have to wait on. It's an immediate transformation.
I like it. And yes, y'all, like frameworks on frameworks on frameworks. I'm just letting you know, like, come prepared to take notes. Like if you buy this book, like this is not a leisurely like read on the beach, unless you plan to come back to work after your vacation. Like then sure. But yeah, Sabrina has several different frameworks in here that you can apply immediately. There is always a page at the end of every chapter for notes. So it's not just the examples and the tables, because she does have tables, y'all. Like, sis wanted you to work, okay? But not only do you have all of these things, but you have the space to write notes. So even if you don't feel like having a separate journal to have to do it, like you can write right in there. So this is a book that is helpful. Once again, the title is Lead with Audacity, and I'm going to read the subtitle because it's dope. 10 bold strategies to grow stronger, execute smarter, and lead unapologetically. So yes, for our audience, let them know where they can connect with you, where they can get copies of the book, and anything else you want to share with them.
The book is on Amazon, so you can go there. You can also go to leadwithaudacitynow.com. It is attached there as well with some bonuses. If you like bonuses, I like free things. So there's some free things there for you. My Instagram is Audaciously Lead. So those are where you can find me, and also on LinkedIn at Sabrina Scott.
I love it. I love it. Yes, y'all connect with her, and because I can attest, I'm following her on LinkedIn. Her posts are dope. They're empowering for me. So I love it. Sabrina, yeah, thank you so much again for coming on the show. I'd love to have you back, especially for that next book, whenever that's coming out. Keep us posted. Keep us posted on that.
Will do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And thank you for having me, Melissa. I so appreciate this.
Absolutely. Great conversation, right? Sabrina's had a lot of lessons to teach, and, you know, she'll continue to do that because, as I mentioned in the interview, like, her LinkedIn posts are the truth, y'all. Like, go read those. Find Sabrina Scott on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with her there and soak up the truth. Get a copy of Lead with Audacity. The book is an easy read. It flows well, and you'll feel compelled to want to do the steps, the action steps in the book. There's plenty of space to take notes, so you'll definitely appreciate that. And it's small enough to fit in a handbag, so you can carry it anywhere. Okay. So definitely enjoy that. Connect with Sabrina, get a copy of her book. And if you're interested in connecting with me, of course, as always, subscribe here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube at Getting the Win, you can follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, just look me up at Melissa Thomas. That's Melissa with 2 L's and 2 S's. If you've been having a goal to get your book done this year, I've got 2 opportunities coming up for you. If you're someone that prefers the slow and steady pace, you want to digest the information, you want the frameworks, and you want to move at more of your speed, you don't want to feel rushed, maybe you don't have time to book off several days for concentrated work, then the Truth to Transformation Book Bootcamp is for you. It starts Tuesday, February 17th at 6 p.m. It'll be a first live Zoom call for that. That's the kickoff call for that. So go to bootcamp.melissathomas.co/sign up. There's a free option and there's a VIP option if you prefer to sit at the front of the class, as my coach Lisa A. Smith likes to say, but you can sign up for free if you want to get started for free. So go to bootcamp.melissathomas.co/sign up. If you want to go at your pace, 30 minutes a day, something easy, digestible, and you want to be careful and get all the details, I got you. Now, if you're somebody that prefers to work fast, if you've been sitting on this book, this idea in your heart, and you just want to finally get it out of you, then my author activation weekend that is coming up in April, that is more your speed. That is 3 to 4 concentrated days of you just getting the book out of you. I will guide you through the framework. I will have fellow book coaches, fellow folks who are also authors, who are published, and I will even have a best-selling author coach that is there. If you choose the VIP option, you will get access to his session where he's teaching you how to take your book from just a published book to a bestseller. So you don't want to miss that. So if you have the time to mark off those 4 days in April, take that VIP option to get all of those days. Because not only are you learning how to make your book a bestseller, you'll get all the steps on how to get published once your manuscript is done. And since my goal is to help women who have navigated a trauma or transition find healing through writing and publishing your first book, I will have a licensed mental health counselor on site. So that is happening Thursday, the VIP day, during the author activation weekend. So if that's more your speed, if that sounds more like you want the concentrated time to just work on the book, go to myauthorweekend.com to learn more. In the meantime, in between time, have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Peace.